experiencing an emanation of the psychological trauma and the way that we perceive things that have taken place.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dale, you're right. I mean, even like the story of Jesus' birth, like the Immaculate Conception, like that's the perfect expression of that lie. You know, for thousands of years, according to Michael's research, men didn't know that they played a part in the
Yeah.
birth of the children. You know, and that's kind
I
of
was fascinated when I heard that. I remember I was in the gym because I put these podcasts in, I was listening to your podcast and I had to stop. I went, whoa, that was a big, yeah. Do you want to explain that, Joel, for those that haven't listened to that episode? I'll tell people where to listen, what episode number that is too, because it'd be good for them to listen to that.
Yeah, I don't know the exact episode number. I think 108 maybe. It's called Observations of Female Psychology. But if anyone heads to our website and searches Michael's name, you'll get all 4 or 5 of his episodes that he has with us. But I mean, this topic is the topic of all topics. It's very, very important for
It
people to
is.
explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure. Yeah. You got that, Erasmus? 80 something or 100 and something?
But yeah, do you want to explain what he says about
102, episode 102.
Okay,
102.
I'll link it under here as well. Yeah, just explain the Immaculate Conception, where that the genesis of that story comes from, or what his theory is.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of spoken about it. I'm not the first and foremost expert, but I mean, ultimately, yeah, like you mentioned, like for a long time, you know, women pushed the lie that the children came from immaculate conception with the gods, you know, and that the man played no role in that. And then from the time that the man found out that, yeah, he does play a role in that, it's just been this constant feedback loop, which, you know, there's this back and forth challenge and push and pull and tug of war that's been taking place from the seed of that lie. But yeah, I wouldn't back myself as the person to explain this in the best possible way.
I know I've heard within satanic cult circles too that because when you hear about the rituals and the abuse and that, it's a lot of the time it's the men that are performing that out. But like we've spoken to a lot of survivors and looking a lot into, and I know you interviewed Max Lowen the other day, that the women are the organizers, and it's almost it's a reversal of how that would happen tribally, that the women would, you know, they would make the decisions, the men would so they do it in the satanic world too, that the hierarchy is the woman. That's still that same secret society of women that are running it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. Like even like all the original deities that we worshipped, like that preceded the sun and masculine worship was the woman, you know. The original god was Taurus, Taurt, and she was the sky. This is where the word tarot comes from, actually, but this is the emptiness, the void. So there's an entire, you know, history of us purely worshipping women before the masculine sun dominated force came into the picture. Then we got all the sun cults, Christianity, you know, and all the rest of it was born. So, you know, all this stuff, man, it's just forgotten the whole Garden of Eden story too. And like when you think about it, it's like all these 7 deadly sins, like we've been made to feel guilty about the fact that we exist. So like Adam and Eve wanted knowledge. They were punished for wanting knowledge. Like think about this underpinning most people's psyche. They were kicked out of Eden. You have to be self-responsible. Oh, you're being punished. Self-responsibility is a punishment now. Oh, I have desire. I feel lust. I feel, you know, sexual energy. This is a punishment. This is a sin, right? But no, this is your natural state of being. Yet we've been so programmed to feel guilty for things that are naturally within us, for what it means to be an autonomous human being, right? Like we want to return to Eden. We want to return to the womb. We don't want to have to deal with the problems of life. But, you know, why are you here? Why are we here? And to me, this is like what Michael speaks into a lot, is this Gnostic programming, you know, this idea that something's inherently wrong. We live in a prison planet. We're trapped in this, you know, reincarnation trap. My body's a prison, you know, like I'm sinful immediately. I have guilt, even though I've done nothing to justify my guilt. And so people view the world, they view reality, they view themselves with this disdain. It's tainted on some element, where like our message is, no, this is the most sacred thing. Your existence is sacred. This planet is sacred. Your life is sacred. Your potential is sacred. Your dreams are sacred. So with someone that really understands the sacredness of all that, how do they behave? How do they interact with the world? It's completely different to those who have bought the lie that, you know, oh, it's dirty, something's wrong, we're in a fallen realm. my entire purpose of my existence is to reach some afterlife. Like, no, this is it now. This is the thing.
Into the tribalism. Like, there are things I could get from one person. I don't agree with everything every person I'm into says. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, even Michael Tsarion, every word that's come out of his mouth has been like the gospel. Like, you know, the person has inspired me and impacted me more than I think most people. But like at the end of the day, like there's so much to learn. Even Israel Palestine, like this is the funniest thing. It's like you go October 8th, you know, the day after, you must pick a side or else. Like you're talking about how many years of history and nuance and things that have been hidden and controversy and corruption, and how the fuck can you know everything? You know, so like, do you even have the space within yourself to even sit with this idea? I may not know. I don't know. These are the pair of opposites of certainty and uncertainty. You know, and most people need certainty. They need it so they can feel safe because they don't have the ability to sit with the opposite. It triggers too much within themselves. They can't handle it. You know, and most people are out there just trying to like convince you that they're certain, when the reality is there's so much you're not certain about. So I may have convictions, I may research things, I may have some knowledge, and I present it in a certain way, and I'm willing to change my mind. I'm willing to be wrong. And so there's a way of communicating that I think you don't see in our social media, you know, days. Everyone's just like, I have the answers, this is the truth, I'm right, you're wrong. And yeah, it's polarizing. And then for so many other people out there, they just want to attach to these people that are certain. Well, this is my guy, this is my team, they're certain. Whereas Joel and I, like first of all, I don't want anyone to ever put me on a pedestal. Sure, you can be inspired by me, you can be respected by some of the things I say and do, but like I fuck up, I'm human, I don't have all the answers, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. We're in this journey of seeking truth internally and externally together. And I want to hang out with people that are open and have active minds and that love this shit. You know, don't feel like, oh, I've gotten to the point, I'm awake. Like that fucking term that term actually triggers me. Like it's some end point. Like, wait, there's a group of awake people and there's a group of unawake. I'm sorry, there are people that weren't hip to some of the COVID stuff that I'd rather spend time to than some of these fucking truthers that like I would pull my hair out, like even listening to them talk for fucking 10 minutes. Okay, so like life is way more nuanced than like I'm awake, I can sniff out the lies of the world and everyone else is sheep. Like, okay, really? So, you know, like, can you grapple with this? Can you contemplate this stuff? Can you dance with the uncertainty, the nuance, and that we're so complex as human beings with so many parts to us? But it's just it's anyways, you get what I'm saying.
What's your Oh, so I was just going to say, what's your emotional trigger, Joel, or has been in the past? Have you got one?
Nothing triggers me ever. I'm completely perfect. I've solved all my dilemmas.
That's why I chose him as my business partner.
Do you know what Maddie's is? Maddie's is people that aren't real people of the country dressing up like cowgirls. She doesn't like that.
No, that's not it. It's inauthentic people.
Yeah,
which is just a little bit nuts.
Trying to be someone that you're not being.
Yeah, man, that's a big one. That's a big one for sure.
I find it hard to connect to people that are not being themselves and not, you know.
I'm triggered by people who keep repeating to me that they want to change and then never do anything to change, and they're just so identified with this story of, you know, oh, my life's this, my life's that. You're constantly feeding them solutions, giving them actions, giving them books, giving them opportunities. Then a year later, they're still telling you the same shit. That triggers me.
We had 11 hens and one rooster, but the rooster went psychopathic. And so, I mean, he was a psychopath and tried to like literally just fucking like fuck everyone up. And we got to the point we were leaving to go away for a couple weeks, and we had a friend staying over. She was going to watch the chickens, and we're like, listen, we can't do this to you. We can't be like, hey, you have to go collect the eggs. By the way, your life will be in danger. You need to carry this thing and like try to hit it every time it tries to lunge at you with its spurs up at your neck to like go after your jugular. So we finally made the decision to
take its bat.
Well, no, I mean, there's so many more stories about that rooster to get into, but we, you know, my wife and I, we made the decision. It was primarily her because she raised them, and she's like, listen, it's time. We had a friend who was really experienced in like raising chickens and processing chickens. So he came over, and we had a few friends that wanted to come and like learn the process. So Sophie went into the run. She grabbed the rooster. We brought it up to this like pomegranate tree that we have, and you know, she did the thing, and we processed him, and then he was like a little over a year old, so I ended up making a delicious coq au vin, you know, with him, like a traditional, and it was really good. And Sophie didn't want any of the animal leaving the property, so we like composted everything else. And
that's so cool. Did you taste the psychopath?
Oh, it was delicious. It was the best tasting psychopath that I've ever tasted.
Hey, Mads, I told you what my brother did. My brother had all these chickens, and then he went and got a rooster. They had it for like 4 days.
Oh, well, listen,
it was just going in the morning, and his wife's like, "I'm so sick of that rooster in the morning." And then she goes, "Can you deal with the rooster?" So he just got straight up out of bed and he went and chopped its head off.
Well, but this is the thing. It's like there's that part of me that goes, "A rooster's, it's doing its job. Like it's protecting the flock."
Yeah.
But we didn't really need it. We weren't trying to fertilize the eggs and create new chicks. You know, his whatever you would call it, roostering, like it was loud, but it wasn't like super distracting. But at the end of the day, because my wife fell in love with this process, like there was a 5-month period where she's like, I don't even enjoy going down to the chickens because I'm fending for my life. Like, and it's funny, I have to be honest, because when she first told me, like I went down and I fucking laid the hammer down and he didn't fuck with me. So of course I had this like, oh yeah, he won't mess with me. But then she went away for a week and I was in charge and I went down and that motherfucker was coming after me. And in my nervous system, I was like, oh shit. Like there was one time I went into the chicken coop, okay? And we had like a little automatic door. So I was in the coop to collect the eggs and I closed the door, but he was trying to come through the door to just have to corner me and like come after me. So I'm like, I'm hitting him with this thing and I have a podcast to get on with Joel in 10 minutes. I'm like, am I cornered in here? Am I gonna be able to get out? You know? So anyways, it's a funny process. But anyways, we just have 11 hens now and it's great having fresh eggs.
God's